On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the role of a paralegal on your case. I'm Andrew Iacobelli. I'm a personal injury lawyer with Iacobelli Law Firm, and today I'm joined by Alyssa Smith, and she's a paralegal with Iacobelli Law Firm. So welcome, Alyssa.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what the paralegal does in connection with a personal injury lawsuit.
My day-to-day role as a paralegal is to assist with accident benefit claims and to assist with your tort matter and talking with the defense lawyer or defense counsel on your file.
In the context of a car accident, what are some of the first things paralegals do to help the client?
So the first thing that we do is fill out the forms to send them to your insurance company so they are aware that you got into an accident. And then the next thing that we'll do is make sure that you have access to your healthcare and your treatment to get the help that you need with your injuries.
And then those forms go to which insurance company?
They go to your own insurance company. Your own insurance company handles the accident benefits claim.
What types of treatment do you usually help people get through their own insurance company?
So we get physiotherapy, massage therapy, chiropractic treatment, and then sometimes neurology or psychology. It depends on your policy, but there is funding for attendant care or housekeeping services as well.
You do all of that, applying for that and dealing with the insurance company?
Yes, we deal with the insurance company so you don't have to.
And then what happens if it's someone hurt and can't go back to work?
If specifically you're off of work and need that income replacement, we can apply for provincial or federal benefits that can help with the income support.
And is that just for car accidents or all kinds of injuries?
All kinds of injuries. Specifically, it's called the Ontario Disability Support Program or the Canada Pension Plan Disability Funding as well.
And is that something that the people can do on their own, or do they need a paralegal?
They don't need a paralegal, but the forms are very lengthy. And when you get into an accident and you're very injured, the last thing I know that I would want to do is sit and fill out forms and deal with all the phone calls and trying to figure out what kind of help you need. So we're here to make sure that your recovery is as smooth as possible.
Are you also submitting other documents to support that?
For the Canada Pension, there's a separate medical report that needs to get sent to your general practitioner or nurse practitioner, and they'll fill it out and give their medical opinion with your injuries. As well, we send in your medical records, which we get through your file and through representing you.
And based on your experience, does the way the form is filled out, like the completeness and the documents that go with it, have an impact on whether or not the person will be successful in getting the benefits?
Through my experience, I've learned that there's specific words and specific ways you have to phrase either your injuries or whether you're able to do your normal activities of daily living. Again, through the experience that you learn which files are usually more successful versus others that are not.
How is ODSP different or similar to CPP?
Yeah, so the first thing that is important to clarify, because the Ontario Disability Support Program is provincial and the Canada Pension Disability Plan is federal, you can actually get both at the same time. So it's important that if you know you're not going to be working, you can apply for both of them. The ODSP process is a little bit different, where you have to go into an ODSP office, you as the client, and you will get assigned a case manager, and they will help you see whether you're financially eligible. There's very strict rules on the ODSP. Once you are deemed eligible financially, you can ask us to assist you with your doctors filling out the medical reports. There's an activities of daily living report as well, which we can do, or we can help assist your doctors doing because we have all your medical records. We also send an authorization to your case manager to alleviate that from you, and then we can deal with the case manager directly on your file.
And what happens if it's denied, the application for CPP disability or ODSP, Ontario Disability Support? Then what can the paralegal do?
My role as the paralegal when it gets denied is the first step is the reconsideration. When we're representing you, we request updated medical records to make sure that we have an accurate representation of what your medical doctors are saying about your injuries. And then we put together a letter restating your injuries and explaining why you're not able to work and how your injuries are going to be severe and prolonged.
Do you ever have to attend a hearing or anything like that?
Yes, so if the reconsideration is denied, we will have to file for either the Social Benefits Tribunal or the Social Security Tribunal to get your application heard from an adjudicator, which is basically a judge at the tribunals. Sometimes there's in-person hearings, but lately because of the COVID-19 switch, they're doing video conference hearings as well. Or we can opt for a written hearing, which is again, we kind of deal with it on our end and we write to the tribunal stating again why your injuries are severe and prolonged and why you need to be on the disability benefits.
If you do have to appeal it and you're successful, like then what happens?
So if you're successful appealing at the tribunal, they will send a letter to our office because we are your representation, and usually to the client as well, saying that you're successful and that the adjudicator has deemed you disabled. You'll get a letter as well from the Canada Revenue Agency, specifically stating what your benefits and payout is going to be. When you apply for the Canada Pension Disability Plan, there's something called like the retroactive pay, or the back pay that we call it, deemed from when the day you are disabled. So if your accident is January 1st, for example, and you find out that like February 1st you're unable to work, but we don't submit your application till March 1st. So they'll send you a payout summary basically saying, within the timeline they owe you this much money, and they'll usually phone you as well saying you can expect your money on this day or within these weeks. Now officially you're on the Canada Pension Disability Plan and you can expect your payments once a month. There's payments available if you have children, so they'll add that in as well if you have young children that you're looking after.
How long does it generally take to get these other benefits for people, whether it's accident benefits, disability, federal, provincial?
Usually you can expect to hear back within 90 to 120 days, so 3 to 4 months per stage. And then again, if we have to complete a consideration, they will give you 90 days to prepare the consideration. Once we submit the reconsideration, again, you can expect 90 to 120 days to hear back on whether you're approved or not.
This isn't the end of their case. This is all sort of interim remedies to help support them while the lawyers and the team is working on maybe the lawsuit against the at-fault party, which sometimes can take longer.
Yeah, so this happens during the case. Again, we do acknowledge that 90 to 120 days does not provide instant income support for you, but again, with that retroactive or back pay, getting started as soon as you're unable to work is for sure helpful with your case.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we do have a client where you're supporting and you were successful in getting them, whether it's ODSP or CPP disability or income replacement benefits or a combination, the value that adds to the claim against the at-fault party is that it helps to establish that this person has a longer term income loss.
Yes, and I think based on my experience, getting deemed disabled under the Canada Pension Plan seems to be one of the hardest things in terms of following the rules of the test. Once the Canada Pension Plan has deemed you disabled and that you receive those payments, it's easy to go, into your discovery or mediation, explaining that, and that does add value to the file going against the other lawsuit.
Yeah, and I find that too, that an insurance company will look at a case differently if they see that Ontario or the federal government has already deemed you disabled from working. They're going to take a more serious look at your claim, and they're going to see it as a higher risk claim and probably be more inclined to settle with you.
Yeah, exactly. Because Canada Pension Plan, the main part of the test is a severe or prolonged injury, which they basically deem as indefinite. Even if you're age 30 or age 40 and you get in a really bad car accident, if they deem you on that CPP disability, then your injury is pretty much, unfortunately, indefinite at that point.
That was really helpful. Thank you for the explanation of how you help clients get these other benefits. Now I want to sort of go back to what kind of involvement do you or as a paralegal have?
So our job is to not only communicate with you as the client to make sure that you're getting what you need in terms of your treatment, but we make sure that we are communicating with the other counsel, scheduling discoveries or mediations, making sure that we're up to date with our court deadlines and we're not missing any filing deadlines. We have weekly meetings with the lawyers on your file to make sure that the file is going in the direction that we would like it to go in and that you're receiving, again, the help that you need. We also are in charge of making sure that your accident benefits file, so we're talking with the insurance company. We really like to take that part of the file into our own hands because we know that dealing with insurance companies can be stressful, along with you having injuries. And we work with the legal team, we work with your healthcare team, we work with your insurance company to make sure you're getting the recovery you need and to make sure you get the result that you deserve.
That was great, Alyssa. Thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing your experience and what you do to help move a personal injury matter forward on behalf of clients.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you found this episode really informative. But if you do have any additional questions, you can always contact us. Our telephones are open and available 24/7.